As you might know, I have been getting into horror lately, and I feel like we have had a general rise of horror again, not only in the book space, but also in the movie space, with movies like Sinners, Opus, Frankenstein, and I have been on the grind, and in this video I wanted to highlight some horror books by Black authors, since it is fully February and US History Month is in full swing. I think I'll be reading 2 books, I don't know, I'll see. Both of them have been on my TBR for a long time, so I'm really excited to finally dive in, see what they're about, and if I really like them. So without further ado, let's get started. I actually already started my first book, which is Where Sleeping Girls Lie, yesterday, and I'm only about 50 pages in, but I can tell I'm gonna like it. We follow Shadi Hussain, who is a recently orphaned girl that moves into a boarding school, and she meets her new roommate that is also her school sister that will basically be around to help her throughout her year and also show her around the school and just make introductions into that world, because Shadi has been homeschooled her whole life. I feel like this will be a very slow burn book. This is over 500 pages, so I think you can already tell that it's going to be a bit more slower. But I do like getting a lot of descriptions of the places, because the campus is a very large campus. And we also get a map provided, because it might get a little bit confusing. I think it's going to be very important to know where we are at certain times. I think there's going to be a death soon. This is a YA horror, which I don't usually read. I think I've only read one YA horror before, which was Don't Let the Forest In. I enjoyed the book. It wasn't especially horror-esque. I wasn't that scared while reading that. So I'm hoping this one will bring me that fear a little bit more. I think this might be a combination of horror and thriller. I'm not sure. So I'll let you guys know, but I'm really enjoying being in Shadi's head. I think she's very unique because you don't really see many protagonists that have been homeschooled, and I think she has some big secrets hiding. So it's going to be fun finding out what they are about. As her first day comes to a close, Shadi is late to her curfew at her new place, and when she goes into her room, her house sister and roommate is already asleep. She tries to go to bed as soon as she can, and when she gets up in the morning, her roommate is gone, and she assumes that she has already done breakfast and moved on with her day and went to her classes, because she didn't see her breakfast either. As the day goes on, she still hasn't seen her roommate and house sister. She doesn't see her when she comes back to her room in the evening for the curfew, and she stays up as much as she can, but she still doesn't see her coming back to her dorm room. In the morning, her roommate is still not there, and she is convinced that she's going to reappear anytime soon, because her other friend is not very concerned and says that this happens sometimes. Her roommate, Elizabeth, goes off sometimes and needs some space, so it's normal. But around lunchtime, she finds out that there are police on the campus. She is also called into the headmaster's office and is questioned by the police about when she last saw her roommate Elizabeth. And that's when she finds out that Elizabeth is officially missing. She feels guilty for not speaking out about her being missing earlier on. She also feels like the police is not doing much. So her and Baz, the other friend of Elizabeth's, decide to get together and try and figure out this mystery, try and look out in the town and see if they can find anything. She is also approached by the Unholy Trinity, which is kind of a popular girls' clique that people believe they're witches. And they invite her to have lunch with them the next day. As Buzz and Shade start investigating the mysterious disappearance of their friend deeper, they start encountering secrets within the school and lies hidden behind pretty facades. They soon discover that all of this goes much deeper than they could ever have imagined. This book is definitely more of a literary fiction thriller, and that's on me because I didn't really check the genres before I picked this book up for the video, but it was on my TBR for this month, so sorry. It did take me around 100 pages to really get into this book, and I did feel like this was more like an ordinary dark academia story with some mystery elements than thriller, but I think this is the point. This book lets you immerse yourself not only in the environment, letting you get used to your surroundings and people, but also to Shade's character, her thoughts and viewpoints. You start to know her in and out, and things that seemed out of place at first suddenly start clicking in. It's quietly chilling as it lets you get comfortable before everything comes crashing down. The mystery aspect is so well done that you start doubting yourself if this is actually a mystery that needs to be solved, if there is anything amiss, and if there is any point trying to continue the search. So I think there were some connections that I made well before our characters did, and we had some starts of investigation that ended abruptly, never to be brought up again, which was a little bit frustrating. I'm giving this book 3.5 stars, though I think if you're younger, you're gonna like this book a little bit more than me. It was a little bit too long, in my opinion, feeling a little bit convoluted at points. Overall, I really enjoyed this story. And my next read will be House of Hunger. I'm really excited to get into this because, like I said, this is a book that I have had on my TBR for about a year. Or a year and a half at this point, really. So let's get into it. Our main character, Marion Shaw, is a young girl that has been born in the slums and is still living in the slums. She is also a servant in some kind of house, working as a housemaid and a cleaner. She does everything. She spends all of her day cleaning, basically, and caring for the house, and basically being belittled all day long. One day, she meets up with her friend, and they go through the advertisements, as they usually do, for jobs around the slums and in the areas, and they see an advertisement for a bloodmaid. Bloodmaids are said to live in opulence. They can eat cakes, they can enjoy art, they can study whatever they want, and they don't have any troubles. They are sponsored by these great houses of the north, but in exchange for that, they give them blood. Marion's friend, though, thinks that that position, that job, is very, well, suspicious, you know? And she looks down on it quite a lot. She's also very religious, so she also thinks it's very demonic and satanic and whatever else. So she's already like, oh, look at this advertisement. But Marion decides to take the newspaper anyway. My light just died, of course, anyway. And when she gets back home, we see her brother, who is addicted to drugs because he's very ill and he's very violent towards Marion, but she still is very loyal to him because of how he acted when he was younger, when their parents died. She has that loyalty to him because they were both orphaned, obviously. However, her brother doesn't see it like that. He only wants to get high. That's the only thing he wants. He beats Marion, he shoves her, and he belittles her as much as she is at work. And so the same night, she decides to go and try out for being a bloodmaid. After arriving at the place where the auditions are held, she is invited into this gorgeous house. She has never seen this amount of wealth before in her life, and she's greeted by another bloodmaid. She is then taken to like the Lord or whatever, and she finds out that it is taste finder for the Lords of the North. And upon tasting her blood, he says that her blood is exceptional. I mean, you've got me right there. So it's been so dark and gloomy all day, but it is kind of the perfect weather to read a horror. So I'm not complaining too much, it's just very cold. After a brief consideration, Marion decides to become a bloodmaid, even in the face of being shunned by her brother and her best friend. But after all, who wouldn't rather go spend their life in opulence, having to bleed a little bit, rather than spending it in servitude or tying herself to a man she doesn't love, only having to serve him as well? Yeah, choice is clear, choice is clear. Upon her arrival in the House of Hunger, she is accepted as a bloodmaid solely based on how exceptional her blood is. So girlie has an amazing blood. She is given her own room, which she has never had before. She has lived in one tiny room with her family and then with only her brother her whole life. She has gotten dresses, she can eat whatever she wants, she gets creams and cakes and everything she can want is in her room. But after starting her rigorous training, she also starts finding sinister evidence around the house and is kind of haunted by the ghost of the past. So I guess we'll find out if bleeding for the life of extravagance is worth it. But I don't know, guys. As Marion says, it's better to bleed in the House of Hunger than die in the slums. Soon after her arrival at the House of Hunger, Marion is drawn into the dark world, quickly swept away by the allure of her new mistress and a hopeless desire to serve her. She observes the coarse debauchery and wickedness, with lords and ladies living in complete depravity with no remorse. This novel portrays greed, poverty, and begs you to question how far you are willing to go to prove your ambition. But I think more importantly, it offers a brilliant critique of the uber-rich and their disregard of consequences due to their immunity of the law and punishment. It presents the corruption of the powerful within a dark, gothic, and disturbing environment, creating an intense and bleak tale. It also offers an incredible toxic sapphic dynamic filled with lust that I was looking for and missing in A Dowry of Blood. I'm giving this book 4.5 stars. This is such a unique take on vampirism because it's not fully vampirism. Marion is also forced to forsake her old identity, all to be able to become the best bloodmaid she can be. I think this was such an interesting book and I felt completely lost during this in a good way. I lost myself to this book completely and I fell absolutely in love. But since the first book wasn't completely a horror, I wanted to recommend some other YA horror. And of course, first will be I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me. I read this last year and I absolutely fell in love. I am obsessed with this book. This is following Laure, who is desperate to reach the top of the ballerina world and seeks out help from a powerful source in Paris catacombs. And well, she ties herself to a crazy power that she has very little knowledge of and doesn't really realize the consequences. Some other recommendations would be White Smoke and The Taking of Jake Livingston. Both have different vibes. White Smoke follows Marigold, who after moving to a new house begins to suspect that her house is haunted, and to prove that theory she has to uncover her new town's secrets. The Taking of Jake Livingston is about Jake, who is able to see ghosts and has to confront a powerful ghost who has plans to take him. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!